We're going to look at some potential trades the Browns could make during the draft with guys going in or guys going out. But first things first, it is officially draft week now, so make sure to subscribe for pick-by-pick analysis. Never miss a single breakdown of any future Cleveland Browns players when you are subscribed to the channel. Andrew Berry is always busy this time of year, and do not put it past him to make some more trades. I know it might feel like the Browns are tapped out a little bit, but I've heard some buzz and some murmurs from Berea that Andrew Berry, if a good deal presents himself, will continue to be one of the most aggressive GMs in the NFL and strike while the iron is hot. So with that, let's take a look at 5 trade possibilities the Browns could make. Now, the first trade is bringing someone in, and that is Montez Sweat, defensive end from the Washington Commanders. Washington has an interesting problem, if you will, on its hand. It's got too many good defensive linemen, and they can't all pay them. So some guys might be on the way out, and maybe the Commanders want to get a pick before losing them in free agency. So the Commanders did just pay Daron Payne. Chase Young is going to be next, most likely. So could the Commanders try and flip Sweat for a draft pick before losing him in free agency at the end of 2023? He was a first-round pick out of Mississippi State. Now, Andrew Berry has been super aggressive so far in free agency and trades, and he has completely revamped the defensive line. Every single issue or need the Browns had going into the offseason, he has addressed. So now he's just looking to get out of control with it, right? Now he's just playing with house money. Well, let's just see how great I can make this unit. Now, Montez Sweat in his career, the former first-round pick, has been very consistent and honestly a very good player for Washington. 8 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. I don't think anyone's ever going to say Montez Sweat is supposed to be a number 1 edge rusher on a team, but that's perfectly fine. The Browns don't need him for that role. The Browns need him to complement Myles Garrett nicely moving forward and add more pass rushers to this rotation because I like the Obo free agent signing, but Obo has never put up numbers like that before. So why not see what Sweat can do in a rotation with him? Now, what does a trade look like for Sweat? I think he's probably going to command a 3rd-round pick. So I get it, moving on from pick 74 would be a bummer. But if the Browns believe that Montez Sweat is going to be a bigger impact to this team in 2023 than pick number 74, and they catch wind that he's available, you better believe Andrew Berry is going to pick up the phone and start doing some homework on him. Now, there is one issue that comes to trading for Montez Sweat, and it is this. He's got 1 year left on his deal, his 5th-year option this season. So do the Browns want to extend him when they trade for him? Because if they don't have plans of extending him and giving him a good chunk of change, he's not going to reset the market, but he's going to get over $10 million a season. Well, if they don't see him that long term, do you want to give up a 3rd-round pick that should be on this team for 4 seasons for a guy who might be here for just 1 year? If the world is ending, yeah, put all of our eggs in the basket of 2023. But Andrew Berry does have to find a balance of 2023 versus playing for the future as well, because there are more seasons to be had. So if he does not see him reaching a deal with Montez Sweat, and this is just like a 1-year rental before he's a free agent, then I'm going to be a lot more cautious about giving up a 3rd-round pick for him. So sound off for me here. Will the Browns make a draft trade? They made one last year for Troy Hill, so do not put it past them. But give me your best predictions, Y for yes or N for no. Now, let's move on to our second draft trade. This one is going out the door, and that is Harrison Bryant. One of my favorite random Browns players of all time, the tight end who I've always said, if I see Harrison Bryant in a bar, I'm going to give Harrison Bryant, or anyone wearing, rather, a Harrison Bryant jersey, a free beer. Now, the Browns tight end room, David Njoku, Harrison Bryant, and then Jordan Akins. Those are your 3 tight ends. You got Zaire Mitchell-Payton as well. So if Jordan Akins, who was signed, pushes Harrison Bryant for the tight end 2 spot, maybe he becomes available. Now, Harrison Bryant in his career, these are his stats. 108 targets, 76 receptions, 710 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He has not looked like a guy who can be a real legit receiving tight end too. They definitely didn't draft him for his blocking abilities, so he has not quite been a future tight end for this team. Also, the Jordan Akins signing makes me feel like Bryant could be made available for a trade. Makes you wonder if they if they signed Akins with the intent of, you know what, him and Njoku are tight ends 1 and 2. Let's see if we can get something for Harrison Bryant. If not, we will outright release him if we don't think he's a spot on this roster. Moving on to our third out of fifth, trade targets here. Coming in is Ed Oliver, defensive tackle from the Buffalo Bills. The former 9th overall pick for Buffalo has been okay. Not been bad, not been great for them though. So he has a cap hit this year of $10 million. He has been so-so. I'm going to put as underwhelming, depending on who you ask, really, up in Buffalo. He has also been involved in some trade rumors. He deleted some social media posts that kind of made you wonder, is he going to be there long term? Now, last season, PFF ranked him as the 43rd best interior defensive lineman out of 127. That is way better than Taven Bryan or Jordan Elliott or Togiai or Winfrey were last year, just for reference here. Here are his career stats. He has never had the pass rush upside that Buffalo is looking for when they drafted him 9th overall. He has always been predominantly a run-stopping player, but he has been, like I said, a little bit better than middle of the pack. Has he been worthy of a 9th overall pick? Probably not, but he's not been a bad player. He was probably just drafted in the wrong spot. So in order to get Ed Oliver, I've got the Browns giving up a 4th-round pick. Now, similar to Montez Sweat, he's on the last year of his deal. So, do the Browns see a future with Ed Oliver, and they want to give him that contract extension that he's looking for in Buffalo, and the Bills aren't interested in giving him? Ed Oliver, good player, would be a great addition to this defensive line. He will make this defensive line better. Again, the question is, do you see him long term? And if not, are you okay with just having him for 1 year and going all in on 2023? Now, moving on to our next trade night candidate here. This is, unfortunately, Anthony Schwartz. We're all probably too mean on Anthony Schwartz, myself included, no doubt about it. I wanted to be in on the former track star from Auburn, but Anthony Schwartz is definitely going to be a trade candidate for the Browns. The only question is anyone going to call and make an offer for Anthony Schwartz, right? Last year, just 51 yards off 4 receptions. He's got that 1 touchdown in the Packers game on Christmas Day 2 years ago. But Anthony Schwartz is looking at an uphill battle to make this roster right now. A former 3rd-round pick. If another team wants to throw a 7th-round pick at you, that's probably all you're going to get for Anthony Schwartz. I mean, here's the wide receiver room. It's pretty full. I see 5 roster locks between the 4 faces on screen and David Bell. You want to toss in Jakeem Grant if he rebounds nicely. There's 6 guys already. So it looks like Anthony Schwartz is on the outside looking in. Now, N'Keal Harry, a former 1st-round pick for the Patriots, who was way more productive than Anthony Schwartz, he was traded for a 7th-round pick to the Bears last year. I think Anthony Schwartz might get you a 2030 7th-round pick at the rate those things are going here. So our 5th and final draft night trade is someone coming in to Cleveland. It is Grover Stewart, the defensive tackle. Did you guys notice a trend? I think if the Browns are going to make a trade, it's either going to be for a defensive end, a pass rusher, or an interior defensive lineman. Now, Grover Stewart, the former 4th-round pick by Indianapolis back in 2017, he has been very reliable for the Colts. He has not missed a start for them in 3 straight seasons. Now, his PFF rank last season, 35th out of 127. So a little bit better than Ed Oliver for what it's worth. The former 9th overall pick, at least in the eyes of PFF, is getting outdone by a 4th-round pick. This also does go to show as a good reminder, don't just burn all 4th-round picks. Some of them could be Grover Stewart's. Now, the last 4 seasons, he has been, like I said, very reliable for Indianapolis. And he's also been pretty productive, and he's coming off a career-high 4 sacks as he starts to pick up his pass rushing abilities. So the Colts could be a complete yard sale this draft. They are looking to rebuild from the bottom up with a new quarterback and all. So if a team wants to throw draft picks for some of their older veteran players, maybe they view that as an opportunity to find their next Grover Stewart, who's going to be cheaper and on a rookie contract for the next 4 seasons and not have to pay this veteran some good money who might not be there for 4 more years. So what does it cost to get Grover? I'm going to throw a 5th Indy's direction. Maybe that's too much. He's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. So I think 5th round pick feels about right to get Grover Stewart. So those are my trade projections for those 3 guys coming to the Browns. Now, Stewart might be my sneaky favorite guy of the 3 we looked at today because of the value, right? I mean, Montez Sweat is the best of all 3, but he also cost you the most of all 3. So if you want to keep your 3rd round pick and still get a good player, maybe not as good, but still good, well, Grover Stewart could be your guy. So with that being said, let's take a look at the 5 trade ideas I outlined in today's show and ask you guys to comment which one is your favorite trade. Is it trading for Montez Sweat or Ed Oliver or Grover Stewart? Or is it trading away Harrison Bryant and Anthony Schwartz and getting some draft picks? If you get any, really at all, but still, nevertheless, a 2020 5th, 7th round pick. So sound off for me down in the comment section below. Which one of these trades is your favorite?